Thank you, Cara. Thank you very much for having me here. Yeah, exactly. We met through some of the investment we made in space compute, and it's amazing that through the investment we can connect with fellow investors, uh, people interested in this amazing space. This is the space, blockchain, AI, and the frontier tech. So, well, thank you for having me here. Thank you for the Mundao team for inviting me and hosting this amazing event. So I'm the founder of White3 Ventures. We are super excited about the time that we are living here because the innovation is at top tier right now. So when we think about space, most people still picture rockets, astronauts, epic missions, something distant, right? Something expensive as well, something reserved for governments and superpowers. But what I want to start today with a clear statement that space is no longer like this dream. It is essentially its infrastructure, right? Like every critical infrastructure in history, roads, electricity, the internet, the real transformation does not come from technology alone. It comes from capital that learns how to finance it correctly, and also for people behind it. So that is the inflection point we are today. For decades, the space was a state monopoly. Then came the new space and era where private company reduced large costs and proved the innovation could scale. And today, we're entering in the third, much deeper phase, like Frank said before, the space as a foundational layer of the global economy, right? That is fundamentally change how it must be funded. So the idea is that space is no longer a vertical; it's more like a horizontal layer. Because for years, investors treat space companies like a standalone category: satellites, large providers, and exploration. But today, that model doesn't work anymore. Today, space, the horizontal layer that cut across multiple critical sectors. We have communications, we have defense and security, we have finance, energy, AI and computation, robotics, climate, logistics, a lot of different sectors, different segments. So, like a simple example, without space-based infrastructure, there is no global financing synchronization, no GPUs, no algorithmic trading, no modern digital economy, no crypto, no Bitcoin, right? So we can see that the space is not the product now, it is the operating system. And operating systems are not financed like traditional startups. So traditional capital actually was not designed for frontier tech. And here lies one of the biggest mistakes we have made as an industry, the venture capitals. We have tried to fund deep tech and space using the same playbook we use for SaaS. Pablo explained it very well earlier. There is this idea with short-term lines, immediate traction, early unit economics, in fast exit. But deep infrastructure does not work that way. Now, every major technological layer in history has required 10 to 20 years horizons, high upfront capex, real technology risks, and regulatory and geopolitical dependence. And this are for sure strategic patience. And this is not how the playbook is right now written, right? So the problem is not the space. The problem is the mismatch between technology and capital. And now, this is the important thing, and now this is changing. A new capital architecture is emerging. Right now, we are seeing a new hybrid capital architecture is built around 4 pillars. Will be the first is patient but strategic capital. Investors who understand that returns are not linear but exponential once the infrastructure is established and mature. Second, the reconfigured public and private capital. Governments are no longer building everything themselves. That would be impossible for the amount on capital required. So they are acting as an anchor customer, the first investors and risk stabilizers also. This is essential in space, in defense, also in critical infrastructure. Like Fran at the beginning of the presentation said, SpaceX, without the government support, would have died dry of capital. They had money for one last shot, one last launch, and then that's it. And that shot was successful, and they got, I think, 1.13 billion of funding from the government. So that was amazing. The third part will be tokenized and digital native financial models, like Pablo said before, not as a speculation, but as a tool to finance CapEx, align long-term incentive, open access to new types of capital with retail, and introduce progressive liquidity without forcing premature exit from the traditional business. That is amazing that blockchain technology is allowing and supporting right now. And the fourth, to finish, is the operator capital, the capital that brings more than money, but technical talent, institutional contracts, industrial partners, regulatory access, etc. So this is great. And right now in frontier tech, capital is a commodity, but the execution is not. So one key idea will be that the space is becoming like economic infrastructure, not an epic narrative, because for years we have saw that space a story of epic ambition, and that is amazing for fundraising because it touches the emotional fiber of the investors. But now we must sell it as a necessity, right? Because the most important use cases today are not going to Mars, which is great for the humanity survival, as Elon Musk said, which I agree as well. But today, they are also communication resilience for today, data sovereignty, so important, distributed computation. There is a must right now for security and safety, the national security, AI infrastructure, climate, energy monitoring, redundancy for critical systems, etc. So this is because the world has become more fragile. The idea of going to Mars is also important because of that. Supply chains are fragile, digital infrastructure is fragile, geopolitics is fragile, as we can see every day and these past weeks. So space offers something unique, the infrastructure beyond Earth that is resilient, redundant, and sovereign. That is super important. And it's not science fiction anymore. It's not an investment thesis. This is happening right now. And I think that our role, the role of the investor, is super important and must change to adapt to this new reality. So I want to be very clear here, especially for those investing or planning to invest in this sector, that the frontier tech investor can no longer be passive, right? They must understand the long technological cycles, the regulatory risk, of course, dependence on institutional demand, but essentially investing in frontier tech is not betting on something, but it is building, because there are so many pieces, huge pieces that must match together, and building sometimes is more about judgment, resilience, ambition, that betting, right? So good thing about this is that we are early, we are not late. Sometimes there is the perception that in some markets is we are late, it's too late to invest. SpaceX is already on 800 billions valuation, etc. But there is one player there, and actually nothing could be further from the truth. We are still early. That is the right. I think, in my opinion, that we are where the internet was in the mid 90s, or cloud computing was in the 28, or renewable energies was 15 years ago, because the Dominant players do not exist yet. We have SpaceX. This is one player now. It's impossible that one player could manage everything, even as Elon, like a Superman. But we have many other players there, and we are early to bet on them. And the standards are still being written. There is so much room to grow, and so many players that can play an important role in this history. And yes, that means risk, of course. But that is the nature of investing, right? So where there is risk, there are also a massive asymmetry for those who position themselves correctly as investors. There's an upside, a huge upside to be taken there. So as a final reflection, I would like to say that space has always been the ultimate symbol of human ambition, where we look at the moon to the space and we see how immense it is. So space makes us small and so huge, and that and the limit of Earth is right now our only operational layer. So the question is no longer whether we will invest in space, but who will build the infrastructure that sustains the 21st century economy, right? Who will have the courage and the vision to fund it properly? Because funding the final frontier is not just an economy opportunity, it is right now an historical responsibility. We must prevail, and right now is our generation, the ones that has the tools to be able to be part of the history and to be remembered and put our signature there. So yes, that would be all from my side. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for Amunda Ankara for inviting me here. And feel free, please, to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always keen to stay in touch with fellow investors and passionate people on the space. So thank you very much.
Nice, Ruben. Thank you so much for joining us.